Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Play. Another Sunday rolls around, we bring you another game from the Britball archives, and we're going to finish off these first 4 weeks with a focus on the university game, the BUCS League. Another great game to bring you, plenty of scoring in this one and plenty to analyse. And alongside me, helping to analyse and interview our guests, we have my long-time friend and colleague, Carl Walkinshaw. Good afternoon, Carl, rather.
How you doing, Matt? It's good to see you, and it's good that we finally got to some BUCS football, episode 4 of Behind the Play. I'm excited. This is the league that I play in and that I coach in, and it's exciting to have a BUCS game up this week.
Funny week this week, Carl, with the weather. We seem to have lost summer temporarily, and obviously the back end of last week, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was a bit of a washout. So what better way to spend the weekend by looking back on this particular final? It's the 2019 final that we'll bring you today between the Hertfordshire Hurricanes and the Leeds Beckett Carnegie. And it was a good one. Lots of scoring, lots of action, Carl. Get ready to sink our teeth into it.
It was. I remember standing on the roof at Loughborough looking down over the pitch, and we were excited about being there in the atmosphere of another great final. And it turned out to be that, especially in the first half. It was a tight game. And then you'll see as we run these highlights how Dale Carnegie took control of the game. So it was a good one, and it was an exciting final. It's good to cover it here, and we get behind the play and look at some of the analysis, which I'm excited to talk to the coaches about what happened on the day.
And you mentioned the coaches there. As ever, we're very fortunate to have two of the key contributors to that final. We have head coach Dale Bottomley, and we have defensive coordinator David Rowlands. Good evening, gents. Dale, first of all to you. Just sum up really how special last season was for Leeds Beckett and the emotions really from that prior to kickoff.
Yeah, well, it was a hugely successful season for us, and it was probably the culmination of 3 years of hard work and effort. We'd gone from Division 1. I'd taken over the programme in 2016. There were some great foundations laid before that, but we set our sights on getting to the Premiership eventually. And then with the eventual aim of lifting the trophy, that was kind of a 5-year aim for us, and we managed to get it done in 3. But the year beforehand, we didn't get through to be able to play the semi-final because of the weather. So that provided a lot of motivation for the players and coaches going into the 2018-2019 season.
And David, Dale mentioned there about it being such a successful campaign, and on the day, how do you, as a defensive coordinator prior to the start of the game, how do you keep the emotions of the players, the young men out there, keep a lid on it almost so that they don't overperform early on?
Well, we just try to treat it like any other game, really. We prepared all week as if it was any other game, and we practiced exactly the same as we would every week. We didn't treat it any differently. Obviously, it was a big game, but we didn't approach it as a big game.
And that's probably the way to go about these games. We speak to no end of coaches, and it seems to be try and keep things as normal as possible. So thank you for now, gents. It's great to have you with us, and we'll get more comments from you guys once we've watched these highlights. So, Carl, we'll dive straight into these highlights now, and we'll come back shortly after these. Well, shortly, it's going to be a half an hour or so to sit back, relax, and enjoy the 2019 BUCS final between the Hertfordshire Hurricanes and the Leeds Beckett Carnegie.
It's Leeds in white colours today against Hertfordshire in purple, so Leeds will be kicking off, Hertfordshire receiving, and they've got that man already back there to return this one, number 21 Yervier. Let's see if it goes to him. They try and kick it the other way to number 11, but it goes to Yervier, who picks it up at the 10, takes it to his left hand side, and that's good coverage, trying to get the ball out, ripping, but the man goes down. So Yervier goes down at about the 26-yard line. So good kick coverage there from Leeds Beckett Carnegie. High snap to start. Play action. A deep to number 11, but that one's incomplete on the sideline. They're trying to get Tim Oyalaja into the game early on.
Yeah, it was well covered up by the Carnegie DBs.
Oh, Kit struggles with the snap, and that is going to be recovered by Kit Varney, but way back at the 14-yard line. So 2 times now, Kit Varney struggling with the snap.
Yeah.
Early nerves.
Yeah, and they need to make some adjustments to that very, very quickly. You don't want those errors today. They've needed some clean snaps to start off, but that's, to be fair, the snap was actually on point. It looked like Kit didn't take that particularly well, but it's going to be a punt. How long it goes, I'm not sure. Which way is the wind blowing?
Here we go then, here is the punt. It's a low kick, drives it to the 50-yard line, and there it's going to come to a stop, but it's going to give Leeds excellent field position to start their first drive. You see this familiar flex bone that we saw that the Jets run, motion into a kind of I formation and further motion. Now you've got 3 backs in the backfield, and a handoff to number 23. But that's going absolutely nowhere. As
Well
defense.
stuffed up by the Hurricanes defense there.
Kane's crowding that line of scrimmage, but Fry goes back to pass, lofts the ball up into the air, and that is incomplete, but the flag is down. Looked to me like it was played well, but looks like a PI. Here we go on first down again. This one's out into the flat to number 23, who dodges a back and is into the end zone. So it's an early score for Leeds. Carnegie on a simple pass into the flat, and that is Tyler Broad in for the touchdown. Wow.
That makes a difference from this morning's game. Straight in.
Got a quarterback that can pass like that.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can get a man free into the flat and then just uses his speed.
It was a beautiful step as well, just enough to get round his man.
So Tyler Broad in for 6. They've got Leeds lining up for 2 points with a heavy set to the left-hand side. Quarterback keeps it and takes it in for the 2, and that's going to take them to 8-0. No flags on the play. Kickoff's going to be picked up by Carl Yervier again. Tries to get to his left-hand side, but again, it's good coverage from Leeds Beckett, and that will bring them out. The Canes will start at their 22-yard line. Running backs to his left and right, Kit Varney, as he hands this one off, and that's a nice tackle. It's a one-on-one tackle. Receiver in motion to the top of your screen, and it's going to go to that receiver on a little swing pass, and he's going to be pushed out of bounds. So good coverage again there from number 23, Tyler Broad. This one is a handoff on the sweep that the running back cuts inside, and that's a nice cut. Opens up the hole, but the ball comes out. Looking for the signal now. It looks like the Canes have recovered it back, and they have. Hertfordshire driving after that penalty with 3 in motion, but they hand the ball up the centre, and a huge hole up the middle. With 2 men to beat, and they manage to drag him down, and going straight up the gut. Driving the ball well against this good disciplined defence.
Actually,
trips to the top of your screen. Kit Varney goes deep to Yervier, and he's got it! In for 6! So the simple seam pass up the hash mark goes in for 6 points, and Hertfordshire Hurricanes are right back in this one and right back at you. Axie Rodwell kicks it up, and the kick is good. Interesting that they didn't go for 2 and try and even up the score.
Just keep getting points on the board. You know, I think you'd rather get 1 point than not get any at all on a 2-point attempt.
This kickoff is going to go to number 12. Leeds Beckett goes to his right-hand side and is brought down at the 22-yard line. That's Brian Smith. 1st and 10 for Leeds Beckett after the Canes get back into this one, and Hertfordshire crowding that line of scrimmage. Flex bone as Cam, under a huge amount of pressure, just has to heave that one. Gets thrown to the floor.
A lot of pressure coming off that edge there.
3rd and 4 now. 2 running backs in the backfield, 2 receivers top of your screen. Chris is going to keep this one, and there he's found a big hole up the middle. And that's going to go for a gain of 15. So Chris Rinrow with 2 big runs up the middle. 2nd and 5. Calling out the plays now. Hertfordshire crowding that line of scrimmage. And again, it's Winrow up the middle. And again, they get that initial push. That's a gain of about 4 yards by the looks of things, which is going to give short yardage situations. So we'll see. They're blocking up those A-gaps. You can see the Canes, they've got the big guys over centre, daring Chris Winrow to run it up the middle. Let's see what they dial up. And he is going to run. He runs B-gap, and he does get the yardage he needs for the 1st down. 3rd down, they hand it off to number 23, who runs for a gain of about 5, maybe 6. Cam just coming on to hand that one off, so not going to the air. It's Tyler Broad again on the run. All right, here we go. Cam under centre on 4th down. It looks like they are going to go for it. They get the ball out 288 on the sideline. It's going to be a race to the sideline, and he doesn't get there. That's good coverage. 3 Hurricane defenders. It's 8-7. It's a tight encounter, this one. We're enjoying it very much here as Kit takes the snap. Oh! In and out of the hands of Yervier. Tried to bring it in, just bounced off his chest. So 4th down. Let's see what they can do here as the punt. Was it partially blocked? I didn't see a hand touch the ball. It comes out a little bit squiffy, but it gets down to the 35-yard line, so effective in the end. Not returned by Leeds, and it means that Carnegie will take over at that point. And here we go, 2nd and 7, and this is number 23 with a nice run, and that is Tyler Broad, who we've called a number of times already today. So they have Chris Winrow on the field, flex bone. They go play action, and they're looking to get number 12, and they do complete that one, and it will be a 1st down, and that's why they called the timeout. Hertfordshire are saying the ball's out, and it is. Hertfordshire, who have been trying to rip the ball out all game, finally get one and get one out.
Yeah, Smith does well to catch that football, spins and tries to get to the sideline, and I'll just see where it pops out.
Looks like number 51 wrestling for the football there. Yeah, on the replay, great shot from our cameraman. They're looking at that, and that looks like 51 just ripped the ball out. And so here come Hertfordshire. Plenty of time left on this drive. 9:40 on the clock. Hertfordshire have a chance in this 2nd quarter to take the lead. They go out. Oh, and it's picked off! It's number 28. He's going to go all the way for the touchdown! And that is Sheldon Campbell, who stole the ball away from the receiver and takes the ball all the way for the touchdown. Pick 6.
Yeah, Campbell read that very, very well and ran it straight back. Nothing but green grass in front of him.
Kit just couldn't seem to get that one out quick enough, could he? It kind of hung in the air a little bit on its way. And we'll see if we can get you a replay of that. But, you know, sometimes you just get a great read from a defensive back, and that's what happened on that play. Just manages to snatch that ball away and go in.
Yeah, that flat zone that Campbell's in, that underneath flat, it's quite difficult sometimes for a quarterback to spot it if they're slightly offset. Offensive line often in the way.
Play. Now they're lining up for 2 themselves, and it's Chris Winrow again. Will he get there? Yes! He squirms his way over, following his lead blocker. Leeds kicking off to Hertfordshire. Let's see if Hertfordshire can drive right back at them as they did early on in this game. Nice high kick again, which allows the coverage team to get underneath it. It's fielded well, and there is the coverage team. They get him inside the 20 and push him back, but it's going to be forward progress to the 19-yard line. And again, great kick coverage, and it begins, I think, with the height of that kick.
Yeah, 9 players around that football. 9 Carnegie players at the end of that play.
You're joining us with 9:20 left in this 2nd quarter. There goes Kit straight to number 21, and that is bobbled and caught. So good hands there. Varney drops back, going deep, and a man wide open down the field. That is Yervier! Touchdown! Hurricanes! And there you go, we said they got the deep threat. And this time we did get the number right, and it is Yervier, and it is a score. And Hertfordshire are right back in this game. Wow, we've got a corker, George. Premiership National Final.
I think
back
these
forth.
predictions, I think, were a little far off, perhaps, with the guys on the ground, but there's still a long way to go.
Certainly both these offences have come to play, and defence. We've already had a defensive score as well. Kit takes it, play action, that one's batted down. So good defensive pressure from number 10. So the Canes kick this one off, and this will be fielded by Leeds. And this is a good return up the middle, still on his feet, hurdling players. There you go, George. And that was Brian Smith playing that safety position there, American scholar. Heavy set again, flex bone, 2 wing backs. Cam under centre. Takes the ball back on the pass. Good pressure. Cam just eluding it nice and easy and lofts one over.
Oh!
Beautifully executed on both sides of the football. Good pressure. Cam Fry does a great job of just sidestepping the pressure and lofting the ball over. but it's actually tackled just short of the first down.
Yeah, and there was a huge crunch at the end of that play. It's a great grab, having to come back towards it.
Winrow under centre this time. He's going to keep the ball again. So familiar now, this run. He's a good little runner, isn't he? As he barrels his way for a gain of about 13 and another first down as they keep this drive going. Pro formation again, 2 running backs in the backfield. Motion now from 32. This time he is going to cross the centre. And again it's Chris. And again it's a first down. Cam under centre. We'll get something different now as he looks to pass. And that is... well, it was close. Brian Smith there, their American scholar, we've called his name a number of times. I think they have 2 timeouts left, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I do wonder whether Leeds are just going to maybe snap this at the last second every play, but Winrow running again.
Winrow very close. Is he in? He is in! So Winrow! It's the Winrow drive. Drives down the field, gets the first down on 4th down and takes it into the end zone. And Chris Winrow making the difference with his legs. And they're going to go for 2 again. Again, Chris Winrow keeping the ball, following those blockers. But he's unsuccessful on this attempt. So it will remain a 9-point gap. Clock sapping drive.
Yeah, absolutely. And Winrow finally getting that touchdown that he thoroughly deserved.
So Fred Idiong with the kick, and it is a high kick. Another good kick down to the 1-yard line. Dropped initially, but then picked up by Yervia, who has a head of steam on him. But again, good coverage as Leeds rally to the ball. The half-time's coming. You want to make a difference. On first down, they hand it off. It's a 2-yard gain. The clock continues to run. I think they'll try something here. If they get it, they might call the timeout. So here's Varney, dropping back. Let's see what sort of arm Varney's got. Has to get on the move, does complete. And that's a nice tackle to keep Alex Rodwell in bounds. A new set of downs, but the clock's against them. 34 seconds left. Varney takes the snap. Looks to go to our near sideline, and that's complete. Will he get out of bounds? Yes, looks like he stops the clock. Varney now, 28 seconds left. First down again, drops back, looks to his right, back to his left now. Goes to Schofield again, and that's a good piece of defending there from number 23, who is Tyler Broad.
From that play, it looks like the Hurricanes are just going to try and get this into the end zone.
Second down, 21 seconds left on the clock now for this Hurricanes team. The ball is going over to the right-hand side this time, and that's defended, but a flag comes in.
That could be pass interference, although a rather soft call if it is.
Varney has to strike
and
quickly.
it's stripped.
Bat it out of his hand, he picks it up, and we go for a big loss. So the pressure is definitely a fumble. Trips left, Varney looks left and goes left, has a tried to go to Olanyana but can't get the ball there. Well defended.
And the signals are going for the half. The sun's out, just getting lower now. The burger van's down there, people are happy and merry and having a bit of a sing-along over the half-time, and here we go for the second half.
Kick-off then, and it's a muffed return, but Leeds player number 23 does pick it up and is now making good progress down the right-hand side before a collection of Hertfordshire players come and take him to the ground. So Winrow, we've seen with his quarterback follows, quarterback sneaks, and again this time he will hand it off to the running back through the hole, who breaks it open, and he's gone for 25 yards on the opening play. So maybe the expectation was that Winrow would take the ball off the first snap, but they just hand it off to James Potts for a great opening play. Less than 2 minutes off the clock. Winrow under centre this time, takes the ball and hands it off. Again it's Potts who breaks it through, and he's going to go all the way in. So a dagger to the heart of Hertfordshire, but there is a flag on the play.
It's a quick score. We'll see what the flag is. It's in the vicinity. And it is on Carnegie. It is a holding call, so they'll be coming back. That touchdown is stricken off the record. Really step up on this second opportunity.
Back to the live action. It's Potts' right-hand side, and it's a very similar story with him bursting through the middle for a gain of 9. Chris Winrow under centre. Again, very familiar formation now to us today. Play action this time, goes for the slant and completes.
Yeah, wonderful grab. Christian Davies there, Winroad to Davies.
For the linebackers to do anything but hang around that line of scrimmage to try and tackle this run. It's Potts this time, right hand side, trying to get the drive going. Brought down after a gain of about 6. And they're edging even closer now as they get to second and goal about the 4-yard line.
Every single one of these runs is another body blow to the Hurricanes defence.
It's Potts, right hand side, and he's in for the touchdown.
So much space for Potts, and he's got that touchdown back on the board. Potts, of course, he's had a good game and a very, very good drive, so...
Just looking at the blocking that's going on the right hand side of this line, just to get a double team on the nose, and then running back gets a good block. And Potts is only touched once he's in the end zone. So it's going to be a critical drive for the Canes if they're going to stay in this national final. Brought to you by BUCS, and we're happy that you're with us here at Onside Productions. Alright, so it's Canes bringing the ball out, and this one will get to about the 25-yard line. And on the return is Tim Oyalaja, who's already got a score himself, doing his kick return duties.
Yeah, nice return there. The other offense is designed to take time away from the clock, which means that you won't get a lot of time if you grind it out.
So it's a run to start this drive, and Leeds are all over that one. Second down for Kit Varney and his Hurricanes team as they try to get back into this game. This time he is going to go double move from Yervier, and it's just outside of his reach there. Carl Yervier with a nice move, kind of chair pattern up the sideline.
Yeah, he's got some real speed when he gets going, and it wasn't that far off, and if he had caught that football, I think he'd have taken it to the house.
So it's Axel Rodwell with this punt. And it's blocked, picked up, and that is all the way for the touchdown. And that is a blow to Hertfordshire indeed, as Leeds extend their lead to 39 points.
Yeah, Spencer Hind with the touchdown there.
Just comes unblocked if you look on the replay. The line not picking him up. Gets his hands up in the air. Kick is a clean block, doesn't hit the kicker, and it's just daylight between him and the end zone as he high steps in. Winrow with the 2-point, familiar now to us as he on that QB follow. Joe Walker kindly named that play during the halftime show. It is the QB follow, and takes that ball in for additional 2 points. So for those of you that are neutral, will you be staying with us? We hope you are, as this is not a high kick. Goes up into the air, and this is fielded, but it will be fielded at the 15-yard line as the runner has to fall to his knees in order to catch the football. Still plenty of time left on the clock, 7:45. Varney now going to the air, and this one is complete. And a nice move, still on his feet.
Yeah, good fighting. Those feet kept moving.
That's Tim Oyalaja, who's already had the touchdown. Still continues to fight, still continues to play hard for his team. See if Hertfordshire can take advantage of that. Varney, high snap, takes it, looks to his right, and it is complete to Yervier. Varney calling out signals to his right hand side. Spread, 2 receivers top, 2 receivers bottom, comes to his bottom side, and well defended there from Leeds Beckett. That's Keaton Austin. Same formation, running back to the right hand side. Yervier to the bottom of your screen, and Oyalaja to the top. Varney looking for Yervier. He has to scramble now. Linebackers chasing, but Varney will get the first down on 3rd down and 10. 2nd and 10. Again, Varney looks his way. This time it comes short. Oh, that's a beautiful catch by Axel Rodwell, who takes a blow from the defender.
Crunched.
Helmet
Crunched.
off. And Rodwell is thinking about taking some deep breaths and getting himself sorted out. motion to the bottom of your screen. And it's a reverse, and it's Oligana, and he's going to run to the 6-yard line.
Hind with a one-hand tackle, but there is a flag on the play.
So, 2 receivers to the top of the screen, 2 receivers to the bottom. A good concerted effort here for Hurricanes to get back in. Play action on the jet sweep, wide open!
Has he got his feet down? The officials say no, the umpires say no. We'll see if the officials take notice of the big screen here, but...
well, they can't, can they, George? It's unofficial.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I made the wrong call, but they can't actually...
No, of course, we haven't got official review.
We haven't got the official review here. So, here we go. Canes, 3rd down. They must get into the end zone. They go to Yervier. Oh, it's well defended again. So, it comes down to this. 4th down on this drive. The Canes desperate to get a score on the board and stay in touch with Leeds. Varney takes the snap, looks to his right, again goes to Yervier. Oh no, it was to Rodwell actually, but it's incomplete. In the end, he was double coverage over there on the right-hand side. It's 30 yards of penalties, and Leeds Carnegie keep on trucking off the left-hand side this time. Fry continues to play under centre. This one is a handoff, and there's a lot of space as the running back breaks through the middle, and this is going to go for yet another Carnegie touchdown, and that is Chris Winrow from the running back position this time. So it's Fry to Winrow, both quarterbacks on the field, and Winrow busts one for his 2nd touchdown of the day.
Stating a claim for the MVP. Yeah, at this point in time, that never say never goes to a miracle needed, I think.
Winrow just with enough speed to get to the end zone. Big hole off the right hand side, and then cuts it back to get under the posts. Under centre, and he's going to roll to his right. Now he's going to throw, and that's well defended. So here comes the kickoff with Hertfordshire. Again, a lovely high ball, allowing those kick coverage to get underneath it. And again, they meet the runner at about the 25-yard line.
31 points down.
Trips to the bottom of the screen, and this one will be picked, and it's Sheldon again down the right-hand side. Will they be able to get him? And they do. Varney comes over with the covering tackle.
Looks like 23. Tyler Broad was the man with the pick.
You are quite right. It is Tyler Broad with the pick.
And a wonderful pick it was too.
We've called his name a couple of times. And that's the risk, isn't it? If you're Hertfordshire, you've got to put the ball in the air. You've got to try and stay in it. But you're gonna get defensive backs dropping back, watching the quarterback's eyes, and able to make a play on the ball. Third and 10. Cam's under centre. 3 running backs in the backfield. This one is a handoff and nowhere to go.
Stuffed in the backfield. Oscar Terry, the first man to the ball carrier.
Who will come in to attempt this one. Hold is good. Kick is blocked. And will they look to return it? At the moment, they will pick it up. And it's going to be a race to the sideline.
Jack Jones, the returning man there.
3rd and 15 now. Varney looking rattled somewhat the last few series. We'll see whether he can keep his poise and get some space here. He looks to his left and goes deep. It's a nice lofted ball, but it's Tyler Broad again who picks this one off, weaving his way down the left hand side, cuts back and all the way in for another pick 6. Tyler Broad.
There is a flag on the play though, although it's in the vicinity of holding.
Leeds Beckett Carnegie
to confirm,
just scored
we're now
50
into
points.
a running clock phase. The clock will start when it's next legally first touch on the subsequent free kick.
And the national final goes into a running clock. Once the team goes 35 points ahead, we have a running clock. So it will not stop.
And finished off nicely.
Well, I don't think anyone was expecting this, and certainly in the first half we weren't expecting this. As Leeds line up for the 2-pointer, they will go for 2. It's Winrow again, and this time he will not get in. And Leeds have just been picking the ball off whenever it's gone up into the air.
Yeah, it's tough for an offence though, as we've said. Those defensive backs play a bit further off, and it's another mistake, and it's going to put them back on their own 5-yard line.
And again, the bad luck. If you're a Hertfordshire fan, it's just unlucky. Slips, loses his footing there. Does Rodwell. Top of your screen, 2 receivers bottom, now looking to restore some pride in the programme in this national final. Varney in his own end zone tries to get the ball out.
Actually, the thing, they've changed of quarterback. Culver dropping back here, looking for Axel, and has he caught it in bounds? It looks like he has.
They're giving him that one. Both of those being dominant today with this flex bone offence.
Yeah. I mean, it's been really, really dominant.
Culver with a nicely thrown ball, but it's that scholar back there, Brian Smith, who's now looking to take one back for himself. Cuts back, walks in, and there is a flag down, 2 flags down actually.
I think it's going to be in the vicinity of pass interference there.
Pass interference. 23 defence. 15 yards previous spot. Automatic first down.
Both doing well so far. Again, Adesona up the middle and close to a first down. That might actually give him the first down.
Yeah, they have given it.
Hertfordshire now very close to Leeds territory. Culver back to throw, and this one will be picked. And that is Don Thompson all the way down the left-hand side. Will he take it in? He will. Cuts back, and Don Thompson gets himself a touchdown off another pick 6.
That's the 3rd one of the game for this defence. 3 pick 6s in one game.
Culver just didn't see him, did he? He's got his eyes set on that receiver. He was trying to go to James Schofield, but Thompson with good speed down that sideline, one man to beat. Cuts back inside, quarterback can't make the play, and in he goes. Nevertheless, still playing running clock, as you guys know. This is a decent kick, well taken by Rodwell at his own 1 yard line. He will bring it out. Rodwell still fighting, now he changes direction back to his left hand side, trying to find the edge, just doesn't have the legs for it. Hurricanes with the ball. 3rd and 6. Culver, their backup quarterback, still in the game. This time it's a fumble, it's on the ground, and that'll be picked up. It looks like Leeds will get the chance to run out the clock with the ball. It's Connor Remington that dives on that one.
We said this earlier, and obviously with the clock running, we said this in the first game of the day. Do you take a knee here, or do you go for some more scores? I think with a scoreline like this, I think you're looking to take a knee.
One more play then in this national final, and they decide to take a knee. So the timeout,
that seems like a rather pointless timeout there, but there you go.
Nevertheless,
maybe
there
they
goes the Gatorade shower.
Maybe they weren't quite ready to scream and shout on the sideline. Who knows?
Maybe it was a timeout to get the Gatorade bucket ready.
Yeah.
You just don't know, do you? Nevertheless, Leeds Beckett Carnegie have been absolutely dominant in this second half. We thought it was going to be close, but the Hurricanes didn't get a sniff. Here's the raising of the trophy, here we go. And there it is, Spencer Hind raising that trophy aloft, and the celebrations will go on throughout the summer. So congratulations to Leeds Beckett Carnegie, who were absolutely unbelievable today. Very, very strong team.
So, Carl, as we mentioned, a very intriguing game. Early on, it looked quite close, a bit back and forth there. But then, as you mentioned before the highlights, Leeds managed to find the right formula and really put Hertfordshire to the sword.
They certainly did. That big offensive line, that big, powerful running game. And I'm looking forward to asking the coaches some questions about the way they manage this running game and how they run that inverted wishbone and flexbone and a range of different other schemes that they run. They really are masters of that. And in the end, they just ground Hertfordshire down and ran it out with a big win.
So let's do what the show is titled and get behind the play with head coach Dale Bottomley and defensive coordinator David Rowlands. To begin with then, Coach, obviously we saw a good opening drive from you guys in the white uniforms. Do you script that opening series, or do you straight away look at what that defence and a scouting defence from the previous seasons, as we see Tyler Brown go in there for that opening TD? Does your offensive series on that first one follow a pattern, or do you adjust straight away?
Yeah, no, we don't really tend to script. We you kind of do it based upon what the defense are doing. So we'll maybe we'll chat with the quarterbacks and maybe have a couple of plays that we like to go to start with. The first one is normally a pretty simple run play that you can check at the line to whichever gap he likes. We just like to get the first snap and the first handoff out of the way to kind of calm people's nerves, get back to the huddle. But that gives us time to then look at what the defense are doing as assistant coaches. So on that particular play, we saw I think they had 9 in the box or close to 9, and they're manned up on the outside. So although the first couple of plays are kind of stuffed for short or no gain, we knew that we could probably hit them with a couple of passes very quickly after that.
Yeah, it's good, and you certainly did with that pass that we saw down the sideline there. And turning to my fellow DC, Coach Rowland, who did a great job on the day. It's good to have you with us. I mean, early on, Hertfordshire... Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for being here. I mean, Hertfordshire did make some plays, didn't they, and tried to get the running game going up the middle. And, you know, coming into the game, what were the challenges that you thought you were going to face from the Hertfordshire offence? And when on those opening drives, how did it match the game plan that you'd put together?
So, yeah, obviously we'd seen Hertfordshire on film and we'd studied them a lot and prepared for them. And we knew they had a very strong passing attack, a good quick pass game. The QB can get the ball out quickly, so that was something that we had to prepare for, and we knew they liked to take deep shots. To be honest, we thought the line was somewhere we matched up well against them. They ran a lot of inside and outside zone, and we were ready for that, but honestly on the day they performed better than we expected in the run game, and that's something where we had to adjust to, because quite honestly before the game we were more geared up for their pass game, and we thought that we could probably outmuscle them on the line, and that wouldn't be as much of a threat as it was early on the day. And
I think that shows in terms of the way you made the adjustments later on, because obviously the passing attack was shut down later on in the game with Hertfordshire. They were known for their deep threat, and we'll see from the video here that they do score using that strategy. You can see as they go into the end zone on this play. Now, despite the fact that you'd game plan against that for weeks, how do you react as a defensive coordinator on the sideline when a touchdown gets behind your defense like that and it's something that you strategize for the whole week? Does it frustrate you? Do you overreact? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, there's going to be some instant frustrations, I think. But we made a point in the week leading up to it that we knew they could hit a deep shot, and over the course of 4 quarters, they're probably going to complete 2, 3, 4 of those, and there's a chance that 1 or 2 are going to go for touchdowns. So we just get them back to the sideline, calm them down, tell them we trust them to do their jobs, remind them of their responsibilities, don't panic, settle down, and then we'll be good. I think our safety Tyler made a bit of a mistake on that play, so again it's just calming him down, keeping him focused. He's making plays on offense too, so he had a lot to do that day, but he made up for that in huge strides later on in the game.
Stood up with this close game going back and forth in this first half. We get to the middle of the second quarter and we have a Leeds pick 6. And Coach Rowland, when you saw this go in, you must have been very pleased indeed as Leeds Carnegie take the score. Can you talk us through that play and just let us know, how do you prep your team for an interception to take the ball in, as you can see on the screen right now?
Well, yeah, obviously fantastic to watch that from the sideline and see that happen before your eyes. Yeah, fantastic. Sheldon Campbell's a beast, the linebacker who picked it off there. Absolute baller, stud is a game. He's represented GB in Finland in the European Championships, and he's just read the play very quickly there. We're in a cloud coverage. So the flat looks open, but you see him break to the ball before it's even thrown, and he surprises the QB with his closing speed, takes the ball away from the receiver, and we're quite happy to let the QBs think that is open, because it's a very tough pass to complete, and if they get it wrong, then it's going to be a pick 6. And I was obviously as well very pleased with the hustle from the rest of the defence to lead him in.
So Dale, as David referred to then, the defence stepped up, did their part on that particular series, but actually there were 3 quite quick scores. If we go back to the original Hertfordshire score through the air, and then the pick 6, and then this. where, again, a bit of a deep pass. What led to the receiver being as wide open, particularly when David has said that you'd prepped, and we can see it on the screen now, you'd prepped for this deep ball. What happened? How did this receiver get that wide open? Didn't seem to be a play action or anything on the play. Just talk us through that. And again, then, your feelings of, blimey, this is what we've prepped for. What do we need to do to stop this?
Yeah, it can be hugely frustrating, but if we get technical, we're in Tampa 2, and they've recognised that, and they send a really good cover 2 beater with 3 vertical routes. So it's putting that safety in a bind. So I think our safety should prioritise the fade, given he's got some interior help. But in the heat of the play, being a final, there's going to be some mistakes. Hart's obviously watching for this. That's kind of their bread and butter kind of play. So they executed really well. They've got some really good receivers, a really good quarterback, and like we said earlier on, we knew they were going to hit some deep shots, and we knew they were going to complete some. So again, it's just getting them back to the sideline, reminding them to stay focused, and we'll be good to go next drive.
And I assume from that play then you kind of settle everybody down and you kind of think, right, what can we do from an offensive side to stop this deep threat? And then we see this, basically, the story of the rest of the game. Chris Winrow and this offense, this inverted wishbone, double flex, all the sort of variations on it. Was that strategy always going to happen? Or was this almost in the back of your mind, the longer we can run the ball like this and take time off the clock, it gives less opportunity to the Hurricanes?
Yeah, I mean, we like to stick to what we're good at, and we like to use our players to the best of their abilities and what they're good at. I mean, we used flexbone and wishbone here. We used pretty much players to QB follow out of different formations and different motions. But Chris, our quarterback, had been running that play for 3 years, so he knew the nuances of it. He knew maybe where his blocks were going to be, and what the players in front of him were good at, and what angles they were going to take. So, that's taken a lot of time to get used to that. But in terms of flexbone, wishbone, it's late 70s kind of. I mean, flexbone came from the wishbone a few decades ago. We tend to go from the Paul Johnson line of coaches in his coaching tree, which then goes down to the Naval Academy, the military academies. That's kind of where we take our inspiration from, and it kind of suited us there. We had a big, strong interior line, 2 smaller, lighter but fast tackles, and that's where it all starts. But we can't forget that all those offensive line were also playing defensive line and special teams. So, they were a huge part of the team. So it wasn't like we had a fresh set of 5 O-line every drive. They were putting the team on their shoulders and really making those gaps for the running backs and the quarterback.
You mentioned there about the lineage of it and the history of where it's come from and the way you follow, the style of it you follow, and it more continued in the second half. Why is it so difficult to stop? Because obviously they know it's coming, but why can teams just not stop it?
I mean, I'd think of this game as more as players than it is plays. So, we knew we had the advantage inside. We knew that they had the motivation, they had the mentality and competitiveness. So we didn't have to get too complicated with our plays and schemes, whereas we might have otherwise if we were a bit more evenly matched inside. So, I mean, not many teams run it. I know Loughborough have run it very recently. There's a couple of other teams running these kind of plays. I think they suit the English game. If you don't have that traditional passing style quarterback, we get a lot of athletes that can play rugby and other sports. We just stick him in at quarterback and running back and let them do their thing and keep it as simple as possible.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions later on, but Chris Winrow was mentioned already. Is Chris a quarterback, a running back? Is he sort of that flexible that he can play either? But what is he?
He's a baller / athlete, isn't he? But speaking to Dave earlier, and it's his competitiveness and his mental skills that set him apart. As much as an athlete he is, and people will take his lead. They will follow him wherever he goes, on the field and off the field, and that's kind of what fired the offense up. You can see him striding around there, with a bit of swagger, and he becomes a different beast on game day. And it was a real pleasure to coach him.
It was a pleasure to watch as well. Just it's that sort of idea that you know what's happening, but you can't stop it, and therefore what you see in front of your eyes is almost just like poetry in motion. I don't know if it's ever been described like that, but nevertheless. So your offense contributed, your defense contributed, and then your special teams stepped up. Obviously, you always like to block a punt from a special teams coordinator perspective and from a head coach, but this didn't particularly seem like much of a rush. What do you do? Was it intended to be a punt block? And what do you do from a coaching perspective in practice to try and work on this?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a huge amount of time in practice like most teams, so we tend to kind of think. We have a look at the scout footage in a couple of weeks leading up to the game, and we either decide to return it or block it. And I think this one we were looking to go and block this one. Right. I don't think it was too much of a focus because we just don't have the time in practices. But Spencer, who blocked this, he's an experienced player. He probably sensed something there, and he made a huge play. You've got to give him credit for that. I don't think we scripted that too much. We didn't work on that too much. We just do a few minutes at each practice, just working on these things, and it was great to see that come off.
And that then led to more success for the offense as that flex bone, inverted wishbone, call it what you will, the variations went to work again. And you mentioned earlier on about your offensive line. You mentioned about how important they are. How do you make that O-lines effective? Is it just down to the athletes and the fact that you've got those particular athletes in those particular positions? Or from a coaching perspective, are there specific techniques they need to be able to replicate and execute on the day to make that formation, that QB follow, as you put it, so effective?
Yeah, I think it starts with building a team within a team and building that bond between players. And it's not really, we think of it as the line, because they all play D-line too. So we didn't really separate them out. We've got a great offensive line coach, Andy Fraser, who played in this style offense. He was like a smaller type centre. So he knows what it's like to play against big physical players. So he gave these guys confidence because they are big and physical. And in the weeks leading up to the game, our O-line were doing really well, gaining confidence. We work a lot on technique, of course. We run a different style of offensive line to most teams. But the lads really thrived off that because we were different. It was kind of a point of emphasis, a point of difference for us, that they really enjoyed being a bit different to everybody else and being good at it. And of course, like you say, once you get the ball rolling, once you get 5 or 6 yards of play, confidence just increases, and there was no stopping them. And they're a pleasure to watch and a pleasure to coach.
Let's turn to defence now again and talk about the impact that Tyler Broad had on this game, DC. He seemed to make an impact on both sides of the ball. He gets this pick 6, I believe this is, you can see, including this interception. Describe what he brings to the team, Coach Rowland.
Well, touchdowns in a word with Tyler. He's an incredible athlete, explosive player, really dangerous speed. So on defense at safety, he makes he's a threat to any passing offense on his side of the field. And when he was paired back there with Brian Smith on the other side, we felt confident on any deep game. Also, on top of that, with his speed, he's a quick reader of the game. So on the run plays, he'd be making tackles in the alley incredibly quickly, using that speed to get down there and be a factor in the run game too. And then obviously on offense too, his speed's a weapon. If we just try to get the ball in his hands as much as possible, and good things tend to happen. And we would play him at wide receiver or at slot or at running back. And just let him go, really. So it made an incredible impact on every game.
And then you have a pick 6 is called back for pass interference that we just saw on the screen there. But then Thompson puts the icing on the cake with this interception. Tell us about your defensive scheme. Particularly interested in, you talked about the fact that you've done a lot of work on Hertfordshire in terms of that defending that pass attack. Tell us a little bit about how you managed to ice the game with so many pick 6s, interceptions.
Well, yeah. First of all, I felt really sorry for Brian having that pick called back because he deserved to get his name on the score sheet that day, and he made an incredible impact throughout the season for us. But that said, Don, who came on and got a pick 6, and it was his first or second play on the game. And he showed me probably why he should have started there, made a bit of a point, and so that's fantastic to see. We, as a defense, we prioritise making interceptions and turnovers, and we do that by trying to confuse the offense as much as possible, and with different coverages and blitzes, and we hope that the pressure from those blitzes is going to take away the time that the quarterback has to diagnose what we're trying to do. So we call it burning the candle at both ends. We're making the quarterback on the offensive line think as much as possible, but at the same time trying to give him no time to think. And we'll do that by mixing up the coverages as a lot. We'll run what looks like quite a terrible amount of coverages to our offense. You draw it up, it'd look at like maybe 8 or 10 coverages, but to our defense, each guy should only have 1 or 2 assignments to make, and therefore it's quite simple for our defense to understand and play it, and hopefully we cause that confusion by moving the players around into different zones, and the quarterback should struggle, hopefully, to work out who he's trying to read on each play.
It was a great job, and I like that burning the candle at both ends as well. That's something that I will take away from this conversation. And then Dale, back to you. Describe the emotions not only in becoming national champions, but just in the manner you lifted the title, with such a big scoreline at the end of the game, 57-13. It must have felt tremendous. Tell us how it felt.
Yeah, it was a special moment, and I made a point of telling the guys, at the end, enjoy it, because things like this don't happen very often, if at all. There's 82 plus teams that didn't get to that final and didn't get to experience that year. And not many players get to in any sport. So it's just great. I mean, I'm not very emotive kind of coach, but that certainly was an emotional moment after all the work. You can see it there on the screen. Just fantastic. And look at all the supporters, fans, parents. Just a fantastic moment. And I've got to mention Coach Hatcher, and Hertfordshire. They're a fantastic programme. They've been top of the Brit Ball game for a long time in BUCS as well. And I'm sure they enjoyed the feeling of kind of getting to that final. And I've got a huge amount of respect for that programme.
And as a neutral, it was a fantastic event to be involved with, even though for the Hertfordshire side of the ball, it may have seemed a little bit of a deflating situation, but it was a fantastic event. And all too often, as it is, this time floats away from us, and we're so short of it. So thank you ever so much for now, David, for joining us and for your input on the game. It's been fantastic to hear that insight.
Thank you.
And
thanks, Coach.
We will now hand over to the most smooth interviewer in all of Britball, Mr. Walkinshaw, who's going to spend a little bit of time talking with Dale.
And it is good to speak to you, Dale. We've got a little bit of history together and have worked together on a couple of occasions. I know you're a great coach, award-winning coach, Coach of the Year twice. What's your story in terms of how American football found you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like a lot of guys, my first entry to the sport was at university, 2008. So the Carnegie team started up in my Christmas of my first year. So I thought, I'm not going to make first team football or rugby. I'm going to wallow in the 5th and 6th. So let's give a different sport a go. It was pretty exciting. There was NFL at Wembley. I used a lot of my athletic skills back then, not so much now, but it kind of played into what I was good at and what I enjoyed and being part of a team. So that's kind of where I started, yeah.
And winning a national championship is not a one-season job. You mentioned it, actually, that you were ranked 24th, I think, in 2016 when you joined Leeds Carnegie. And then in 2019, you became the BUCS national champion. How did you go about creating, the program that you have to get to this point? That's what coaches watching really want to know. 3 years instead of 5 years. What's the secret in doing that?
Yeah, like I said before, we set those 5-year goals just as an aiming point, like a bit of a pyramid, really, and get the coaches on board. For me, it was about getting quality coaches and committed coaches, and I wasn't too concerned about having a lot of coaches. I just wanted the ones that were on board to be fully committed. They didn't have to be experts, just hard working and willing to do that bit extra for the team. So that's where we started off, and I don't think many of the guys believed we could win Division 1 that year, but we managed to do it. We had some fantastic games. I mean, I look back and I can't believe we managed to do it, really. But we did. We had a very small squad too, so it's about belief. It was about, now I look back, reflecting on it, it was about instilling belief and having the coaches kind of relay the messages from you, and getting everybody fighting for the same thing. We managed to do that, and when we've been successful the past couple of years, that's what we've done. When we haven't been, we've maybe not done that so well. So it all starts from that belief and then going from there.
Excellent, it sure does. Tell us a little bit about the academy, because that's going from strength to strength. But just give us, because you're one of the few people in American football in the UK that actually makes a living out of this sport. What does your day look like? And tell us about how the academy is run and operated.
Yeah, so the academy started in 2013. I've just finished my studies at Leeds Beckett, and I just wanted to give kids a chance to play the sport. I'd done a sport degree. I didn't have any specific career goals, so I figured I didn't have really much of a job, so I just got into school, started coaching, tried to make some money. Didn't make a lot of money, but the university kind of saw what I was doing, saw the program I was beginning to create and get going with other coaches, and they said, well, why don't you bring this junior American football program into the university? We'll give it a little bit of funding, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. And 6 years later, it's going strong. We've got under 13s, under 17s, under 19s, all the way up through, and now we've got the Yorkshire Rams that are on training on campus. So we've got that full pathway, and an offshoot of that, we've got the flag team in Leeds, the Leeds Samurai and their women's team, and the Leeds Chargers too. So I'm really proud to have played a part in growing the sport in Leeds and bringing those teams together. I think there's no need to be fractured as a sport. If we can work together, then it's going to benefit everybody. In terms of my day job, I'm an American Football Development Officer. I've just recently started to cover maternity leave for the whole junior program for 6 different sports. So it's looking a bit different for me now, but normally, I run the junior academy American football. I coach the university team. That involves student recruitment too, so it plays into a lot of the university's aims and objectives. So I've kind of carved a bit of a niche role for myself, really.
Really awesome job, and that has become like a centre of excellence for the UK, and the structure up there in Yorkshire is something which I know a lot of different organisations are looking to emulate and looking to you, and you've really modelled the way in that, Dale. Congratulations on that. I mean, looking up for the upcoming season now, maybe turning our attention to the future, both of us kind of sat watching. Interesting to see how this is all going to play out, what with lockdown and everything else. Do you have a preference for, if there is BUCS football this season, do you have a preference for how that might play out? Are you looking, would it be better if there was regional games rather than national games? Would it be, do you want to see it start in January? What's your kind of view on the kind of options that are out there and being discussed at the moment? Yeah,
I mean, I'm on the BUCS SAG with Coach Rooney and Coach Adam Lillis, so we're kind of working hard on this and giving BUCS some advice where we can in terms of the sport-specific stuff. We kind of got to take our lead from other sports as well. Rugby union, rugby league are kind of similar and have got much more firepower than we have in terms of what they're doing. It has to be safe, doesn't it? We all want a season, we want a full 11v11 proper normal season, but it's very unlikely that'll happen. I think we always have to put safety as number one. How can we do that? How can we work around the government guidelines and restrictions to play some form of football? We don't really know how that will look, but you're probably thinking travel is going to be difficult. We can't put, well, for us it's 30 guys, but some teams it's going to be 50 guys on a bus, for 2, 3, 4 plus hours. Sterling have got to come down to England a few times during their season, so it's probably going to have to be kind of regional, but then you've got to work out the strength of the teams. You're going to then have to have D1 versus Prem and all that, so there's lots to work out, but I'm hopeful we'll be able to get something going, and I think at this point that's the main thing for the guys, is to have a bit of a focus, and having that team ethic and the players together in some form, I think will be something to look forward to.
Good stuff. I know we're all hoping and all got our fingers crossed to see that we do get some football. Just briefly, because we're running out of time, what's the future for Dale Bottomley hold personally and in the football world? What's next for you after this lockdown season?
Yeah, we've had plenty of time to think about what we're doing in our futures, haven't we? I'm not too sure. Obviously, I'm in a bit of a niche role now, so I need to think about where I can progress to. Is that in more generic sport, in terms of junior sport or adult sport, or is it going towards a governing body? I'm not sure, but in some way, obviously, I want to kind of climb that ladder, I suppose. And then American football, it would be great to kind of continue to coach Carnegie and develop the program and add some things onto that aren't really football related, things like mental health programs, tackle some of the more pastoral stuff. I think would be good. That's kind of an aim for myself and the coaches, rather than just focused on performing well. And potentially maybe get involved in some of the GB programs too.
Excellent. Well, it's so good to speak to you. I always enjoy my time up there in Leeds whenever I'm with you guys. A really good atmosphere up there, and just congratulations again on that win that we've just watched back through. It was exciting to watch it back through and to share it with you. So thanks very much for joining me, Coach Bottomley.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks for having me.
And Carl, another fantastic dip into the minds of the people who run this sport in this country. Just some really interesting things that Coach Bottomley picked up on there. I like the idea. I mean, being in the game as long as we have, it's come that way, almost like in the past it was one team for themselves. And it does seem now that we don't need to be fractured. The people are coming together. You think about all the likes of the academies that the likes of Dale and people are setting up around the country, and you think of the BAFCA convention that I know you're a big part of as well, and the way that coaches come and share, and not just from this country, from the States as well. It does seem that British American football is very much getting that sort of stronger together vibe.
Absolutely, and I think it had to. I think there is a limited amount of capability and knowledge within the British game, and when you pool resources, as Coach Bottomley's done, heading up the academy in the way he's done, you get stronger by pooling those resources which are limited. And as a result, you can see the domination that they've had over the last few years. And it really is a model to look at, and a model that other regions are also looking at. So he's done a great job. And you're right, Matt, we are stronger together. And that's a motto that's going to come through again and again, isn't it, as we move through the next few months?
Absolutely. Once again, I'd just like to extend our thanks to head coach Dale Bottomley and defensive coordinator David Rowlands for joining us this afternoon and giving us such great insight. As we say this every week, Carl, it'd be lovely to be able to talk for longer, but unfortunately we can't. So we've now covered in these 4 episodes 4 of the strands of the game in the UK, from the men's senior game to the women's game. Last week, the junior setup, and this week we've gone into the university game. Who knows what's to come as we delve into the archives in future weeks. But Carl, once again, it's been a pleasure as always to share the screen with you, my friend.
And you, Matt, thanks very much. I'll see you next time.
You will do. And all those people out there, thank you for joining us once again on Behind the Play, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.